The Department of Mineral Resources and Energy has commended Eskom on its recent performance, which has resulted in the suspension of load shedding for nearly 2 months. The department, together with Eskom and other role players in the energy and water sectors, have come together to reassess priorities and develop plans to ensure energy and water security for the future at the Enlit Africa Conference in Cape Town. Now, the gathering will also address aspects of Africa's energy transition while looking at the role of traditional generation technologies. On this, we are now joined via video link by Energy Analyst Ruse Moleshe. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I want to start with just how Eskom has been performing just recently. I mean, just on the stability of the country's grid and the energy security. I mean, Eskom has been celebrating over 50 days of no load shedding. What can we truly attribute this to? And I mean, is it likely to last well into and beyond this winter?
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon to the viewers. Eskom has made some progress in the past 50 or so days, and this is related to, I think, the new board, when they came in 18 months ago or so, indicated that they have targets, and the targets were to increase energy availability factor so that the performance is better. And they indicated that the similar plants to what we have in South Africa, elsewhere in the world, are able to produce what they had been envisaging would happen. One of the things that they put up was to do a lot of maintenance over a period of time to be able to make sure that the health of the plants improved. You'll see that when you look at their numbers, that from a random breakdown of power plants, that has reduced quite significantly by almost 5,000 megawatts. And they've also, I think from National Treasury, the concessions they've been looking for in terms of being able to buy spare parts at a relatively shorter time in terms of the procurement processes, that seems to have been addressed as well. And then you have capacity that has come back from all those Kusile units that were off at some stage. At some stage, Kusile had nothing that was producing, so you have those units back. So it's a combination of efforts, combination of things. In terms of whether or not it will be sustained, it depends what you are talking about in terms of timelines, because nobody can know for sure. But they seem to be confident that this particular winter, they'll be able to, they're forecasting that they will not have challenges.
Let's look at this conference that's currently taking place, in Cape Town, and it is focused on looking at reassessing priorities and developing plans to ensure water security as well as energy security for the future. I mean, considering that in South Africa, approximately 85% of the nation's electricity, we're told, is generated via coal-fired power stations. Now, how important are then these conferences, especially where you consider the environmental concerns, and the need to transition to renewables, we're told, in a sustainable manner?
Yeah, so firstly, when we're talking about decarbonization, that means that we are moving from a high carbon intensive type of a system to a relatively lower carbon intensive system. That does not mean that there's no carbon. That's for one. Having said that, the way that we're potentially looking at decarbonization is not to look at one technology, which is renewable energy. It's only one of a mix of different technologies that can take us there. We have an option. We don't have hydro in the country, so we have an option of looking at nuclear, for instance, combined with renewable energy projects, still with some of the coal-fired power plants in the mix, because Medupi and Kusile are less than 10 years, so they will definitely be in the system for quite a long time. And we've heard recently that Eskom is looking to extend the capacity that you have, because if you just abruptly stopped using the coal-fired power fleet tomorrow, you will have load shedding. And you will have no capacity. You will have no water that you're talking about, because this energy system and its security is a key input to everything else in the country.
And interestingly, Jose, just reading a story that just broke out today, Eskom, the Eskom board approving delay in the decommissioning of the 3 power stations till 2030. I mean, how is this likely then to be viewed, considering that, South Africa entered into that partnership, that Just Energy Transition partnership with rich nations like your UK, US, Germany, France, etc., that in 2021, of course, to secure climate finance that would then go into these decommissioning, its coal-fired power stations. How is that likely then to be viewed? And I mean, is this then part and play of what you are saying in terms of staggering these power plants and not doing it all at once in terms of decommissioning?
Yes. So Eskom, for starters, has its own board which makes decisions on behalf of the entity and what's in the best interest of that entity. So if they have most of their electricity coming from coal-fired power fleet, to say that tomorrow they will not be using that, it would not make sense from a fiduciary duty point of view. So I think they are doing what's best in the best interest of Eskom. In terms of the climate finance, I mean, I think in my view, each country should look at looking at 3 pillars, which is energy security, environment, as well as access to affordable energy, and should try and balance those. Whatever considerations that the country does should be based on that, on those 3 pillars, and trying to balance them, not just the environment. So I'm not sure what happens then to the climate finance, but I know that it was based on specific projects.
All right, Jose, thank you so much for unpacking all of that for us. Really do appreciate it. Ruse Moleshe is then an energy expert, just looking at some of these, stories that we are following in as far as Eskom is concerned.